Welcome to the Mesa City Council and Mayoral Candidate Forum, brought to you this evening by the Mesa Chamber of Commerce. I am Joan Kruger. I'm with NEI Horizon Commercial Real Estate, and tonight I am the chair of the Chamber's Good Government Committee. Tonight we'll be asking the City Council and Mayoral candidates a series of questions, the answers to which we hope will give you insight into their priorities and the vision for the City of Mesa. We ask you, of course, to remember to silence your phones if you haven't done so already. This is a nonpartisan candidate forum hosted by the Mesa Chamber of Commerce, intended to provide Mesa voters with information ahead of the election on July 30th. Get that on your calendars. Local elections in the City of Mesa are nonpartisan, and as a reminder to our candidates here tonight, this is a forum, not a debate, so we ask that candidates please exercise decorum and wait their turn to answer the questions asked. We're also asking the audience to hold any applause until after all the candidates have finished speaking and answering the questions. Frankly, no interruptions will be tolerated, so please keep things quiet. We have a tight schedule for tonight, so let's keep moving along. It's my honor to introduce our friend and tonight's sponsor, Linda Brady with SRP Government Relations, to say a few words and introduce tonight's moderator.
Thank you, Joan. The City of Mesa is one of the municipalities I cover as in my local government relations role with SRP, and I'm really pleased to be here with all of you. How often is it that we get to hear directly from candidates, especially running for local office? This is a treat, and SRP recognizes that, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to sponsor this event, and really pleased that you're here, and really appreciative of Sally and her team at the Mesa Chamber for giving all of us this opportunity. I often get asked, what's most important, federal, state, or local government? Well, we could talk about that, and there's a benefit to all, but tonight it's all about local government. That's the focus tonight. Because think about it, each of you, your local elected officials are what make Mesa a great place to live and work. And they have input on your libraries, your parks, your streets, your public safety, your fire, your police, and so much more. And so it's a benefit that we get to be here tonight and listen to what they have to say and hear their stance on the City of Mesa and how they're gonna make your life in the City of Mesa, whether you live here or you work here. To the candidates, thank you for participating, and number one, for running for office. That is not easy, and I applaud each and every one of you for doing that. Thank you for stepping out there and wanting to make the City of Mesa a better place. And to the participants who are here and online, just being here, you're engaging with your local community, and that's important for all of us to do. From SRP, thank you for being here. Your vote does matter. Remember that. It's now my honor to introduce our moderator for this evening. Mike Broomhead, he's an influential thought leader covering the biggest issues in Arizona. Whether it's politicians, celebrities, or everyday citizens making news, he is willing to ask the hard questions. And that's why he's here tonight. He's Arizona's go-to talk show host for the past 15 years. If you haven't heard his new show, you should. It's on from 8 until noon, Monday through Friday, KTAR. This evening, Mike Broomhead is here to moderate the candidate forum. Please join me in thanking and welcoming Mike Broomhead.
All right, good evening, and my apologies to the people in attendance for having to look at my backside, but the candidates have to look at my front, so you're probably in better shape behind me. Everyone, I want to thank you for being here. Please join me in welcoming the panelists, the 6 individuals running for Mesa City Council, 5 who are running for mayor, all willing to donate a significant amount of time during the next 4 years to serve the city. Our candidates this evening for District 1, Richard Adams, Zachary Heaches, Tim Meyer, and Ron Williams. From District 2, Julie Spilsbury, and District 3, Francisco Heredia. Those will be the candidates we're speaking with. Our mayoral candidates are Kerry Davis, Mark Freeman, Scott Neely, Scott Smith, and Ryan Winkle. There are 2 missing candidates from districts 2 and 3. They did not interview with the chamber last week, so therefore they're not including in this evening's forum. So before we begin, let me review tonight's format. We'll be hearing from candidates for city council first, then making a seating change quickly. We'll ask the mayoral candidates to join us on the dais. I'll be asking the candidates a series of questions about topics important to the community. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the question. Just prior to tonight's forum, the order in which the candidates will respond was randomly selected. Also, we will rotate who is first to respond to each question. I'm sure many of you came this evening with questions of your own. Hopefully those questions will be answered during this forum. So now we want to get started. We are going to start with council candidate number 1, and we are going to have 2 minutes for each candidate with an opening statement. You will see the timers in front of you. When your time is up, we will tell you time, finish your sentence, and then we're moving on. So we start with candidate number 1, Ron Williams. 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mike. I would pull number 1. Good evening. My name is Ron Williams. I am a veteran. I'm a business owner. I'm a community servant. I've honorably served my country in the United States Air Force for over 14 years during the Desert Storm era. I was inducted into the Arizona Veterans Hall of Fame in 2022 by the governor of Arizona, and I've also received an Arizona Lifetime Achievement Award. I've run 3 statewide business development agencies, which has resulted in over $100 billion in contracts to Arizona businesses. And I'm a 30-year Mesa resident. I live over in Lehigh. I've been over there in my current home over 25 years, but total of 30 years. I've raised my kids in Mesa. My kids are a product of Mesa Public Schools, where they all have excelled. My youngest daughter is actually homecoming queen and senior class president, so that tells you that Mesa Public Schools is a good place for them to be. I'm currently running for Mesa City Council because I love Mesa. Mesa is more than just a city. It's a remarkable place to live, and I've proven that commitment through my service to the community by the organizations that I've served with, chairperson of the Mesa Regional Foundation, chairperson of the Mesa Human Relations Advisory Board, chairperson of the General Plan Advisory Committee that's been planning the city of Mesa through the year 2050. I've been entrusted by the mayor. He gave me that call and asked me to serve, and you don't say no to the mayor. So it's been an honor. All the community meetings, getting the opportunity to meet Mesa citizens, getting their feedback and their wants and desires for Mesa has been quite the honor. So I think my experiences sets me apart, and hopefully that the citizens will recognize that. But at the end of the day, I just want to ensure the safety and prosperity of Mesa residents. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Heaches, 2 minutes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zachary Heaches. I've been working as a paramedic within the city of Mesa for about 2 years now. My wife is a longtime Mesa resident. She's been here her whole life, and we are also raising our beautiful son here in the city. The 2 reasons that I'm running are to increase access to housing and public transit. My wife and I have been saving for a house for almost 10 years now, and it kind of seems that whenever we think we have enough money, the prices go up. So that's one of the main focuses that I want to focus on for people that are in a situation similar to that of me and my wife, of just trying to get into their first home. And I also wanted to focus on public transit, as I said, because I won't be able to drive forever, but I still want to be able to get around our beautiful city. And so I want to rely on public transit rather than on services such as Lyft or Uber. I feel that it would be cheaper and a little bit more of a relaxed time to get around the city. And unfortunately, the time where I can't drive has come a little bit early. I injured myself, so thankfully for my beautiful wife to drive me here, or else I wouldn't have been able to make it. I'm running for council member for District 1, council member for District 1, and I appreciate your guys' time, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Heaches. Mr. Heredia, 2 minutes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Francisco Heredia. I'm currently the vice mayor and council member for District 3. Been serving in this capacity for over 6 years now, and it's been a blessing and an honor to represent West Mesa on the Mesa City Council. Since the start, I focused on 3 items, core services, right? Our public safety, our infrastructure, and quality of life items like our parks and our libraries. Second, economic development, really focusing on bringing jobs, especially in West Mesa, that are quality jobs that have high wage and that are a resident of Mesa can live off that wage here in the city. And third has really been initiatives that we have been bringing to this city, like our Mesa Promise program that we are partnering with the Mesa Community College and other stakeholders to build the future workforce, to build an opportunity for our residents to continue their education that we all deserve. Things like our education roundtable, our fiber initiative that we've launched over the last year and a half here in the city to innovate and bring Mesa to the new economy, and so on and so on. All these items I've been focused on with a common sense approach, listening to stakeholders and trying to figure out what's the balance that we can have in a growing city that we're 35th largest city in the country, and ensure that we have a future that we can leave our families and our loved ones behind that is much better than we have now. So that's what I've been focused, and that's what I will continue to focus on if I'm elected the next 4 years.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Spilsbury, 2 minutes.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. My name is Julie Spilsbury. I'm the current council member for District 2, and I have absolutely loved serving on the city council. It's by far been one of the hardest, most challenging things I've ever done in my life, besides raising 6 children, but I absolutely have loved it. It's been very rewarding, and I've learned so very much. My husband and I both grew up in Mesa, and we're products of Mesa Public Schools. We loved growing up in Mesa, and so we intentionally chose Mesa to raise our 6 kids. We were small business owners for over 2 decades, and I was super involved in our local public schools with all of my kids. Our youngest graduates from Mesa High this month, so exciting time in our family. I would love for Mesa to be the place where my kids want to raise their families, and so some of my top priorities are making sure that we have strong, safe neighborhoods. I have loved working with our community and neighborhood services and our code compliance and with our neighborhood leaders to make sure that we have everything we need to do to help them with resources to help make sure their neighborhoods are safe and that our kids have a great place to grow up in here in Mesa. And a part of that is public safety. So I have done everything in my power and will continue to make sure that we give the resources to our amazing public safety departments to make sure that they can give the services to our community that we need. And I really want to make sure we keep Mesa affordable so that my kids can live here. And so that means working to ensure that our taxes and our utility rates stay affordable. And I've been prioritizing increasing our housing supply and working with our development community and our city planners to come up with creative solutions for that. And lastly, I'm the chair of the Education Workforce Roundtable. I have been for the last 3 years. And I'm passionate about education, and I've loved working with our local school districts, our post-secondary institutions, and our business community to make sure that every single kid in our city has a great education and that they have every opportunity available to them to fill their life dreams and their goals and to make sure we have the workforce we need in our growing city. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Adams, 2 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Richard Adams. I am running for Mesa City Council District 1, and I agree, Mesa is a great place to live, work, and play, and I've been doing that for the last 61 years. Came here when I was 5 years old. A little bit history on me. I am a volunteer of one capacity or another for the last 40 years. I started off on the board of Arizona Special Olympics. Then I moved to the Mesa Museum and Cultural Advisory Board, then to the Planning and Zoning Board, then to the Economic Development Advisory Board. At the same time I was on the Economic Board, I chaired the Falcon Visioning Commission, which developed a business plan for Falcon Field Airport. I also served on the Greater Phoenix Economic Council Board. Of those Mesa boards, I chaired them all. I also served on the Mesa 2020 General Plan Committee, which was several years ago. And I also have participated in Mesa's Citizens Police Academy and Citizens Fire Academy. In 2019, I was named Mesa Man of the Year, which is a great honor. And in 2021, I was named the International Economic Development Council's International Citizen Volunteer of the Year. My focus has been economic development. My priorities are public safety. My priorities are following our charter, keeping the city in its lane, and transparency and accountability in the city's finances. I consider it an honor to be of service, And I've enjoyed all of those 40 years of service. Why am I running? Because I want this town to be the same safe, nurturing community that I grew up in. I'm a product of Mesa Public Schools. My kids are a product of Mesa Public Schools. And now my grandson is, so it would be my honor to serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Mr. Meyer, 2 minutes.
Hello, thank you. My name is Tim Meyer, and I'm looking forward to being the council member for District Number 1 on the Mesa City Council. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Minnesota, and where I learned some great values of hard work, honesty, and doing what you say you're going to do. Looking forward to the opportunity to get out in the public and listen to more of the residents in Mesa and find out what really the priorities are and what's important to the Mesa residents. A little bit more about myself. I've had the opportunity to work for the city of Mesa, where I worked there for 26 years. I retired from there recently as an assistant department director, and I think I bring a lot of knowledge and expertise to the table, and I look forward to bringing that on the city council. I'm also looking forward to working with the local Mesa and Police Fire Department and promoting more of the services that they provide to all of us in the city of Mesa. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you. We're going to move on to our questions. The first question will start with candidate number 1, and we'll go down the line. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the question. The first question, we will start with Mr. Williams, and it is, what skill set or vision do you feel sets you apart from the other candidates? 2 minutes.
2 minutes. I say what skill sets and
Or vision.
or vision. I think what sets me apart is, Mike, is that I've had the opportunity, not that if they didn't have the opportunity, other candidates, they would probably have taken advantage of it as well. But I've had the opportunity to serve on the General Plan Advisory Committee, meet with department leaders, and actually go to the community, meet with community members, and hear their voices directly. I've also had the opportunity as president of the Arizona Foundation to work with public safety officials all across not only the United States, but all across Arizona as well. So I've gotten to know the attorney generals. We got to work with the governors and the Maricopa County attorneys and the police chiefs across the valley. So I've had those direct experiences that makes me unique, which is why I have great relationship, which is why I'm being endorsed by the Mesa Police Association, because I have an actual working experience in promoting public safety. And you can see all of that work, that actual documented work on herozona.org, herozona.org. So it's not, I'm not coming to this table promising what I'm gonna do. I'm coming to the table with lived experiences. And I think those experiences set me apart. You know, working with the Child Crisis Arizona, working with families and kids in crisis sets me apart. I know that my other experiences working on the Human Relations Advisory Board, hearing from community members, helping the city work with their launch their Together Mesa programs has been quite an honor for me, Mike. Thank you,
sir. Mr. Hiches, the question again, what skill set or vision do you feel sets you apart from the other candidates? You have 2 minutes.
I think my vision is what sets me apart. Of all the candidates that are up here, I'm one of the younger ones, obviously. I haven't had quite as much time to devote to public service as some of the other individuals up here have. I feel a little underqualified now. But I kind of feel as though I kind of have it in on what people my age and younger want from the city and how exactly it is we want it to change to help us out. Like I was saying previously, one of the biggest things that people my age and younger are facing are trying to get into their first home or even have some place to live. If it wasn't for some of the family members that me and my wife have had, there have been many instances where we might have ended up on the street or having to move because of financial hardship. And I don't think that that's something that people my age and younger should have to deal with. So other than that, I have all the same motivations and wants as all the rest of the candidates up here. I think that's the one thing that does set me apart, though, is a little bit more youthful outlook on the future.
I like how you said you're obviously younger than a lot of people up here. We'll see how that went over with the rest of the candidates. Mr. Heredia, the question again, what skill set or vision do you feel sets you apart from the other candidates? You have 2 minutes, sir.
Well, I feel I'm young too, so I'm the youngest on the city council right now, so that gives me a check mark there. But for me, I really, over 20 years of this intersection of community and government, how do we balance work of hearing the concerns of the public to how we can get policy that benefits the public. I think that's been my experience through government, nonprofit work, and now as a council member and vice mayor for over the last 6.5 years. And so for me, it's really having that ability to understand how do we balance those relationships and learning from mistakes and growing from them. I think that's been definitely a learning curve throughout my life. As I was born from immigrant parents that came to this country as farm workers that worked here in Arizona and California, instilled in me hard work and perseverance and ganas to have the willpower to make things happen for yourself, but also your community that you serve. And so for me, that's been the guiding light for building good policy here in the city of Mesa. And in addition, I think having the temperament to get things done, right? I think that's an important aspect because you're thrown a lot of things, a lot of different issues, and how you work through them is definitely you need to benefit that piece towards the community that you're serving, right? So that's for me been definitely a piece that I've learned and continue to grow as a council member and hope to continue.
Thank you, Mr. Heredia. Ms. Spilsbury, what skill set or vision do you feel sets you apart from the other candidates? 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, the first thing that popped in my head was that I'm a mom. None of you up here are moms. So when I got asked to run for city council 5 years ago, I was not interested at all, but I started watching all of the council meetings and I realized that there wasn't a mom on council and that my voice wasn't heard and that the people that I rub shoulders with every single day, our voice wasn't represented. And so that's been really fun to be on council and I just see things differently. We now have 3 women on council for the first time in Mesa's history, which has been really exciting. And we do have another mom, but we see things differently. And moms know how to get stuff done. And we make the world go round. That's what I always say. So, and we, as a mom, you're used to juggling lots of things and a lot of hard situations. And as on a city council, that's what you do. You're constantly juggling all of the different issues and all of the different things. And it's really challenging at times. 2 years ago, I had 7 controversial zoning cases in my district. And one of my, I think, biggest talents that I have is that I'm a bridge builder. I'm not perfect at it, but I try really, really hard to find where we can come together and collaborate and compromise on some of these really hard issues. When you have a neighborhood that doesn't want a development and you have developers and city planners and zoning attorneys, it's extremely challenging to try to navigate through that. And I have watched over the last 3.5 years some really unique opportunities of when we have those hard conversations with respect and seeing people as people, not disregarding them just because they're a zoning attorney or because they're a developer or because they're a screaming resident, but really listening to them and hearing what they have to say, we've been able to come to the table at a much better place and come together and come up with a better solution and a better project or a better ordinance or whatever the thing may be from where we started because of those conversations. And so I can get along with anyone, and I truly love people, and so that's something that I think I have to offer is that I can help in that bridge building.
Thank you, Ms. Spilsbury. The question for you again, Mr. Adams, is what skill set or vision do you feel sets you apart from the other candidates? You have 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you. I think what sets me apart is experience both in business and in economic development with the city and planning and zoning with the city. On the business side, I have been a commercial and business credit executive for over 30 years. I'm a certified credit executive. And I've dealt with millions of dollars in receivables for various companies that I've worked for. Today, I manage a national trade association with over 1,000 members and customers throughout the country. We're called Credit Management Association, and we are the advocate for the business credit granting community. So I understand business. City of Mesa has a budget in the neighborhood of $2.6 billion, close, give or take. And I think it's important to have a business background. I've also been front and center for the last 14 years with all of the wonderful economic development that's happened here in Mesa, all of the job creation, all of the growth down at Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport, putting forth the the Falcon Visioning Commission's plan for development of business at Falcon Field Airport. And so I've been on the front lines of that. I was recognized as the IEDC's International Citizen Volunteer in 2021 for that work. In addition, when I reflect back on my days of chairing P&Z, I served on that board for a little over 8 years. You learn how to sit down and reason together with differing parties to come to a conclusion that may not be everyone's best wish, but you find compromise and you learn how to do these things and bring these parties together for the best outcome, not only for the city, but we always have to be very cognizant of the effect of what we do on neighborhoods and people who live there. So I think I've fought those battles, I've been there, and I think that's what sets me apart is I have real life experience in these areas.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Mr. Meyer, once again, what skill set or vision do you feel sets you apart from the other candidates?
I think the biggest thing that I bring to the table is my experience at the City of Mesa. In my position as ending up as an assistant director, I had the opportunity to listen to and work with a lot of citizens, business owners. I also worked with all the council members, the mayors, upper city management, excuse me, and really got an opportunity to hear what the concerns were and how to help navigate through the government. That in itself can be very difficult to do. So I took great pride in the fact that all of my staff worked very hard to work with the citizens and help them get the outcome that they really need. Having the opportunity to go to all the council meetings was really great as well, because my position allowed me to have the opportunity to come to all the council meetings and listen to everything that was going on in council, how things interacted in the council and so forth. And then being able to be an employee and go back and being in middle management, hearing how the discussions go throughout the government and throughout the different layers of the government. And now to have the opportunity, hopefully, to use that knowledge and experience to really make a difference in the government and navigate that so that we can find ways to cut costs and live within the means that we have. I think there's a lot of opportunity that we have inside of the government to rearrange things and get better outcomes with the money and so forth that we already have. So I'm really looking forward to having more opportunity to work on innovation and automation and being able to work with the city departments that I've had such a great opportunity to get to know all the department heads and a lot of the departments and the relationship that I've already built with them. So I really look forward to having that opportunity, and hopefully the citizens will put me in a position to do that.
Thank you, sir, and thank you all. Question number 2, we'll start with candidate number 2, work our way down and finish with candidate number 1. The second question is, Mesa's airports are job centers and hubs for economic activity. In your opinion, what should Mesa's next step to enhance and protect these economic development engines? We'll start with Mr. Hiches. You have 2 minutes.
I think one of the most important things that we can do for business hubs is to get them better connected with the rest of the city and other cities as well. Mesa's a great place, but no one place can have everything that a business needs. So I think connecting it either through better transportation, whether that be rail or road, or even with the different internet connections that we have with the fiber optics going down in the ground. Having a better connection to other businesses and other things that the businesses may need, I think would go a long way into improving the business relationships that we have there at Phoenix Gateway, as well as expanding the airport's capacity in general. I think those are the things that we can do.
Thank you, Mr. Hiches. On to you. Would you like me to reread the question, or do you?
I think I'm good. So.
All right, Mr. Reddy, you have 2 minutes.
Yeah, so I think we have 2 economic hubs there as far as airports, our Falcon Field and our Mesa Gateway. There are opportunities to leverage economic activity. I think we've done a good job. We have more work to do and bring about innovation that's happening there, leverage the semiconductor industry that has been booming here in the Valley, in both Chandler and Phoenix, where we're seeing companies, vendors that are supplying opportunities there at those semiconductor. And then outside of there, the whole technology corridor that we built in the LA corridor next to the Mesa Gateway is a great, again, opportunity that we have to leverage. So for us, it's really to invest and work with our stakeholder, our business partners, and further bring about that growth. Phoenix Gateway has seen tremendous both clients as far as building infrastructure, and we need to make sure we keep on building that relationship with them that they can nurture and keep on going towards the future. So I think we, again, have much more work to do there, protect it as much as possible, and ensure that we have a growing, both on the Falcon side, Falcon Field side, and the Gateway Airport, that we have a growing economies there that I don't think any other city has here in the East Valley, right? So we have great opportunities to keep on going that growth that we've seen in those two areas of our city.
Thank you, Mr. Heredia. Ms. Pillsbury, 2 minutes.
Yeah, so that's been a really fun thing being on council, is getting to frequent the Falcon Field Airport area and the Gateway Airport a lot, because we're out there all the time for ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings, and just getting to see the incredible growth that's happening and all of the neat things that are happening and things that I just wasn't aware of as a regular citizen. So I think we have really unique opportunities with some of our higher education. We recently, they had a groundbreaking for NAU's hospitality school, where there's going to be a hotel and a restaurant, and just some really incredible innovative things that they're doing there. And then ASU's just invested millions and millions of dollars into the Polytech campus, into new buildings out there. And so I just think the growth is yet to come. Even what we've already seen is just starting. But with that growth, we have to be really careful about what kind of companies we're bringing in, and the data centers, and making sure we're really smart about what we're doing with our jobs. And I think especially we need to make sure that we are really being protective of our space around those airports, so that they don't get crowded out by residential neighborhoods that are going to cause problems down the road. And my district goes north to McKellips. And so right on the other side of McKellips from my district is Falcon Field Airport. And there was a development that was coming in, and they wanted to put some multifamily housing in there. And there were several issues with that, but one of them was that the airport was right across, and was that going to cause problems, and were we going to have a lot of complaints? And we don't want to do that to our airports. And so we have to be really smart about where we're putting the growth, where we're putting these businesses, and what kind of businesses are going in. There's so many opportunities and unique situations that are around these airports that we have to look at differently than the rest of the city.
Thank you, Ms. Pillsbury. Mr. Adams, 2 minutes.
Thank you. I think nothing will kill an airport faster than residential encroachment. And as has been mentioned earlier, I think it's very important that we be very, very careful about how we manage that. We have some great opportunities yet. When I had the privilege of chairing the Falcon Visioning Commission, we put together a number of folks, and we looked at all of the issues to do with Falcon Field Airport, and we recognized right away that any additional residential encroachment would not be to the benefit of the airport. So I think that's one piece of it. I think we have to be very careful about that with Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport as well. Planning for the right kinds of employers, the kinds of employers that will generate high quality jobs, that's another very important piece. I think the opportunity that ASU Poly presents is almost unlimited. We have the Manufacturers Institute under construction now, and that is a state-of-the-art facility that I think will do nothing but help facilitate the attraction of the type of employers we're looking for and the type of growth we're looking for down there. I think the city of Mesa has maybe about 12% of the available land left for development, and it is mostly located down in that area around Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport. So one thing I learned in my time on planning and zoning, you often only get one opportunity to make the right decision. You always want to look for the best and highest use of land. And I think that if we look to some of the work that's already been done, if we follow the path that we've followed, many times we'll get to the conclusion we desire. But again, I'll reiterate, we have to be very cautious about residential encroachment, because that is not healthy for any airport. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Meyer, 2 minutes.
Yes, thank you. No, I think a couple of things, the economic development department in the city of Mesa has just done an outstanding job. Bill Jabjiniak was leading that for a while, and Jay O'Donnell now has that opportunity. I think that team has done an outstanding job bringing in high quality jobs. and working with the Chamber of Commerce as well, making sure that we're getting the quality jobs that we want out there, and making sure that we're bringing in the opportunities that we need for high-paying jobs. As Mr. Adams pointed out too, residential encroachment is another thing. We really need to be careful and mindful of that. We definitely want to make sure that we're having a good balance on residential and how close they're getting to our airports. The Mesa Gateway Airport's just got unlimited opportunities out there. So I will do everything in my power as a city council member to work with the residents and work with the business owners, making sure that we bring in the businesses that we want out there, and that remains and grows into the asset that we can really benefit from. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. And to finish off question number 2, we'll go back to candidate number 1. Mr. Williams, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mike. We know that our airports are major economic engines. I have a lot of experience. I've owned a restaurant at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport for 9 years, and of course, after COVID, we closed that bad boy down, and I sold my interest in that. And I'm looking to be a partner of 2 retail locations at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. So I know the economic viability. As I mentioned before, I run 3 different business development agencies for the state of Arizona, so I've got to work with economic developers, stakeholders throughout the state for a long time. One of the projects I would mention is I did get the opportunity to go out there and meet with Ward and Susan out at the ASU Polytechnic campus, and it was really a homecoming for me because many people know I was stationed at Williams Air Force Base when I came to the Valley before we did the inventory and closed the base down. But Mesa Gateway is just one fine example that we can learn from and learn from as we look at other projects going forward. Mesa Gateway, when Williams Air Force Base was closed down, many airports across the country, they're not repurposed the way that Mesa Gateway has been repurposed. So it's been a joy learning and seeing how spaces like that can be repurposed to have a great impact on our, on the community. And of course, got the opportunity to go out there and experience the ribbon cutting for the new concourse out there. So I know all the business executives in the airports, not only in Mesa Gateway, but at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. So I'm looking forward to learning from what we've been able to do in repurposing Williams Air Force Base and take advantage of other opportunities that are presented to us.
Thank you, sir. On to question number 3, starting with candidate number 3, Mr. Heredia. Mesa decided long ago to supplement its general fund with utility revenues rather than levying a primary property tax. How do you perceive the strengths and weaknesses of this method of funding the government? 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good question. We get that all the time, right? Our forefathers here in the city of Mesa a long time ago decided not to go with a primary property tax and use a combination of funds that includes our utility revenues, which is what the system we have now. And the work that we've been doing is to ensure that we have a balanced budget at the end of the year. And that's what we've done, utilizing revenues that we get from sales tax, from the utilities and other sources. Is it a perfect system? No, right? I think a primary property tax ideally sets you up as a level of funding as other cities see, but as far as our utility fund, gives us an opportunity to, as we own our own electric company here in downtown, we own a gas company out that has tens of thousands of utility customers out there in the east side. And it provides us a source of funding that we need to primarily fund public safety. Public safety is 60 to 70% of our budget on a given year, right? And so a lot of those funds go to pay that public safety that we all look at Mesa being a leader, not only in the Valley, but across the country. And so for us, that utilization of these sources of revenues is an important aspect. Of course, maintaining that we keep utility costs down for our residents. That's why we've been smoothing out rate increases throughout the years, not seeing the balloon payments that some other communities have seen of 11, 14, 16% that other cities have had to increase on utilities. We've kept it as a smooth factor over the years so that our residents can depend on a certain amount of costs, right? So I
I'll leave it there. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Spilsbury, 2 minutes.
So I suppose the point of this forum is not to say ditto to the person that goes before you. Every single thing I was going to say, he touched on. So I guess we just repeat each other. So this is what we have. This is the system that was set up in the city of Mesa, and in the 90s they put it out to the voters to see if we wanted to change back to a primary property tax. And with the resounding no, the voters said they didn't want a primary property tax. And so in 2024, this is the system that we have. And so we do the best with it. And we continue to be one of the most affordable cities in the entire valley. And with those, with our secondary primary property tax and our utility rates. And I was going to mention that one thing I've really appreciated and learned a lot about since being on council is that instead of some cities that hold off on those utility tax hikes, then shoot high 7% or something. And we've been able to just really slowly, steadily, which might add 50 cents to your bill, just so that it's not going to be a huge cut on our families. And especially with inflation and all of the things that every family is dealing with right now, that's the last thing we want to do. And so it is important, though, to make sure we have the money that we need to be able to provide for the public safety resources primarily, but all the other things that we enjoy in our city. And all of those things are important and affect our quality of life. And so we need to make sure that we have the money for that. And so I've just really, really appreciated. I had no idea, again, until I got to see all the workings behind the scenes of how complicated the budgets are and all of the transfers and stuff like that. So getting to see the complexity of it and getting to see how conservative our city is. All of our, they look 5 years ahead and look to make sure we're good. And that takes a lot of work, and we're very, very conservative in those estimates. And so we're not stuck with problems that other cities around us have. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Mr. Adams, 2 minutes.
Thank you. I think the city is doing a good job of managing its finances. I think the city is in good shape financially and fiscally. I am not a fan of a property tax, and more importantly, when the people speak, we need to listen. And I haven't run into anybody out in the community on the campaign trail who is in favor of a property tax. I think, as has been mentioned earlier, I think the system we have works. I am happy to see it fund public safety. In visiting with our firefighters and members of the Fraternal Order of Police, both the firefighters and the FOP have endorsed my candidacy. I am satisfied that while they could probably always use a bit more, they are getting essentially what they need. We're taking good care of public safety here in Mesa. And I think it's one of those things, it isn't broken, so I'm not in favor of fixing it. And again, I would just reiterate, I think when we go out to the people, I think if you held that vote today, I think it would be a resounding no. It was a resounding no then. That issue has been on the table for as long as I can remember. And I have no intention of going there because I don't support it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Meyer, 2 minutes.
Yes, thank you. I agree. Being out on the campaign trail and talking about our taxes and our government and our spending and so forth, it's a resounding no on the property tax. So again, I think we do an outstanding job managing our funds, and can there always be improvements? Absolutely. And that's one of the things I'm looking forward to getting on council, is being able to take a look at the funds and how we're transferring the funds and making sure those funds are going in the right areas and funding the areas, police and fire, and improving our technology and our innovation to be more efficient with that money that we've got. So I think, again, as they pointed out, we've done an excellent job, I think, of managing the utility increases. Nobody likes to see increases. Nobody likes to pay anything more, but things go up and we have more expenses. So again, I think you don't see the city of Mesa raising things 10, 15, 20% like some of the other cities have had to do. I think the sitting council has done a very good job of making sure that they look forward and work with city management, look at the expenses that we're having, and planning out as best they can so that we're keeping things as level as we can and just managing those increases that go forward. So again, I fully support the current method that we have.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Williams, 2 minutes.
Ditto, Ms. Spilsbury. You know, I don't have a lot of statistics involved with what the numbers are with the city of Mesa, but I know that I have testified in front of Mesa City Council when the subject came up regarding no primary property taxes. Is one of the reasons why I live in Mesa. I've been in discussions with citizens regarding what if, and I've told them it would be breaking our promise to those that we have encouraged to move to Mesa if we all of a sudden had the discussion about having a property tax. So I'm in agreement with everyone at this table. No property taxes. Let's keep our promise to those that have come and those that we are encouraging to come. But yes, I mean, in support of Mesa, I'm a founding board member of the Mesa Police Foundation, which is why we understand the support that public safety needs. We are having those discussions because there are going to be some gaps where there may not be city funds, and I know that the city is doing a lot, and are doing very well with supporting public safety. But the Mesa Police Foundation was founded to help support and fill in those gaps. So again, keeping our promise. Ditto on some of the other comments, but yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hitches, 2 minutes.
Well, going last doesn't seem to help any. What everyone else said, just like Ron. I guess if there are any gaps like anyone else was speaking about, we don't want to raise taxes. The only thing that I can think of is that government is a pool that we all put our money into to then give services to the citizens that we need, whether that be public safety, schools, roads. So the only way to increase funds, in my opinion, would be to increase the number of people paying into that pool, which goes back to housing, which is one of the reasons that I'm running. It's the only thing I can think of other than what all these smart people up here have already said. So, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. The final question, we'll start with candidate number 4, Ms. Spilsbury. This is, you'll be the first to answer. In November, Mesa residents will have the opportunity to adopt an updated general plan. Please discuss your views with respect to the plan itself and the issues that it addresses.
Okay, thank you. This has been such a fascinating process. They do this every 10 years, and so 10 years ago, I wasn't really paying attention to what was happening in our city. I was busy raising kids, and so this was all really new for me. I didn't know how much work went into this. 2 years ago, our city started planning for these meetings and for this plan, and every department's involved. Every single person in the community has the opportunity to voice their opinion, and so we're looking at all of the things: transportation, housing, development, zoning, parks, all of the things. I could go on, and trying to see what does our community actually really want. And why it's important is because then when we're making decisions in the future about where we want things in our city to go, we look to that general plan for that guidance. And so one thing I'm really excited about with this particular general plan that they're doing that's different from previous ones is they've created a map to show across the city the places they want to keep the same way, the ones that they would like to improve on, and then new development. So that's exciting to me to see that we would have a guide like that to kind of help us figure out where in the city we need to look for infill development and where we might want to look for we're good, conserve, and we can keep it the way that it is, or like an area like Lehigh where they're not interested in that growth there, and then other opportunities that we have. And so it's really going to be a tool that's going to be very helpful. Our city departments did excellent work going out across the community in every way possible to get community input. And that was exciting to me because I think every single person, if they want to, should have a say. And so being able to do it online or in person, they did it all in every single district so that no one had to drive very far to be able to be a part of that process. And so we can feel really confident that we're putting something, we haven't voted on it quite yet for city council to go forward to the ballot, but we can be confident that we're putting something forward that we're proud of and that covers all the areas and that everyone had a chance to have their input heard.
Thank you. Mr. Adams, 2 minutes.
Thank you. I reflect back on the plan that I worked on quite a few years ago, and I think the current plan and the methodology being used is light years beyond. I think that the city has gone to great lengths, and I really can't think of how they could have gone further to solicit and encourage input from the public. I've seen advertising for it, I've seen outreach in the economic development realm. We had an opportunity as a subcommittee of the Economic Development Advisory Board to work with that group and to take a very hard look at particularly the available parcels for development down in the Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport area. And so I think a very thorough job has been done. I would suspect that there'll be many people who, once this is passed and on the ballot, they'll go, what is that? And I think that moves to our, we have a responsibility as citizens to pay attention to what's going on. I do think that with respect to District 1, which would be different from other districts, we're going to be faced with managing not so much new development because there isn't that much land to develop, but redevelopments. What can we do with commercial corners that are either dead or dying? But particularly, and I hope that folks have had their input here, the character of neighborhoods is very important. And I think we need to be very respectful of the character of a neighborhood when we propose change and make sure that folks understand what is being proposed, and we need to be respectful of their input. And I would hope that that would carry forward in this plan. But as far as the effort, I think the city's done a yeoman's job of soliciting input, and it's up to folks to pay attention to what's going on.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Meyer, 2 minutes.
Yes, thank you. I agree with everyone so far. The city has done an outstanding job putting that plan together and doing their best to get the outreach. One of the things the city government needs to do is listen to the citizens. And as Mr. Adams just pointed out, too, the character of the individual neighborhoods. Lehigh specifically, too, is a very special area that wants to have things just the way they want them over there. So they may not be as interested in that. But it's very important that we listen to the citizens and that we take and incorporate that into this general plan and that they have the chance to have their voice. Again, I think the city has done an outstanding job trying to get out and solicit that input. Either we could do it online, in person. They went out to all of the districts. As Mr. Adams pointed out as well, too, it's really important as citizens to get involved because, again, as soon as they get this on the ballot, people are going to be saying, well, why didn't we think of this and why didn't we think of that? Or why didn't we step forward and take an opportunity to do that? We as citizens have responsibilities as well, too. But as city council members and when we put these plans together and so forth, we've got to listen to the residents. In District 1 specifically, again, too, I agree. We've got to be focusing on our strip malls that are kind of failing, our corners that are failing, and so forth. We don't have a lot of extra land or new land that we're going to be developing. So it's very important in District 1 that we listen to the citizens and see what they want in those areas and then work on council to make that happen. And I'm very committed to doing that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Williams, 2 minutes.
I was not prepared for that question, Mike. You've heard that the city has done a great job in working on the general plan. I will share that I'm the chairperson of the General Plan Advisory Committee. I've been working with the committee members, working hand in hand with the City of Mesa staff to incorporate that general plan. We have put together in collaboration with the city staff on the committee that I've been chairing for the last couple of years, the outreach meetings, the urban labs, meeting with the citizens of the Mesa and given them an opportunity to give input. And I agree, and we've done our best. We've tried every idea that we could think of to give citizens an opportunity to provide their input. We came up with unique ideas of, going out to the parks. We know the online situation is there. And one of the things, as I've listened to some of the city council meetings, is that there was a sense that Mesa citizens still had not heard about the opportunity to provide input into that general plan. So I'm proud of the work we've done. I'm proud of the fact that we've now got the general plan approved through planning and zoning. I attended that meeting where we spoke up in support of the general plan as submitted by the city staff. And when they approved it, it was a happy day. And now it's going to be moved forward to our mayor and city council to now advocate for that plan. We need to get this plan across the finish line. And that was our goal when I was first elected and trusted by the mayor when he called me and said, I want you to serve on the general plan. Of course, I said yes. And the citizens of that committee that voted me in, these were strangers I never met. We had our first meeting, and they voted me in to chair this effort. So it's been worth it. All the time, all the community meetings have been worth it. So hopefully we can get across the finish line.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hiches, 2 minutes.
Could you repeat the question, please? I'm sorry.
Sure. In November, Mesa residents will have the opportunity to adopt an updated general plan. Please discuss your views with respect to the plan itself and the issues that it addresses.
So my opinion on the plan is that it kind of hamstrings the city, in my opinion, on how to adapt, especially to housing. A lot of the area that we have is marked for conserve, so it doesn't allow us to change things if needed. For example, it's really difficult to address housing prices without first adjusting for housing stock. If we can't build more houses, then the prices aren't going to go down because you're going to have the same amount of people or more competing for a limited amount of housing. I went to a lot of the board meetings and I gave my opinion on that when we were there. And then I also felt very strongly about the transportation corridors that we have, especially in regards to public transit. They are very limited in our city. I had, for about 5 years, no car, so I was very intimate knowledge of the public transit system that we have here in Mesa. And thankfully, I didn't get injured back then, so I was able to walk to the nearest bus stop, then get on the light rail to get to where I need to go. So I feel very strongly about advocating for more public transit, just to make it a little bit easier to get around. But other than those two things, I think, like everyone else up here said, that we did a really good job in addressing the areas that needed to be addressed. I just think those are two areas that, if not worked on more, at least given more attention to by both the council and the public.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Heredia, 2 minutes.
A lot of things have been said already, but as Julie mentioned, every 10 years we're required to pass a general plan. Every city here in the state of Arizona needs to pass a general plan to provide the city as a tool, as a baseline to how we can continue what we have, right, and build upon there. And so we were lucky to have or unlucky on the council member to look at really a lot of different plans of our housing. Our housing master plan came in, our transit plan, our streets, our general plan, and others, and really had to look at how do we combine and have all of those departments work together to ensure that we have its vision is to the 2050, right, in future setting. And so looking at ahead of what we can build with the remaining land that we have, but also the redevelopment in my district, things like Fiesta Mall, the Dobson Corridor, where we have a bustling Asian district, where we have bustling, I think, transit. I serve on the Valley Metro board. How do we add more opportunities to move people around? Because that's Maricopa County is still the fastest growing county in the country, or top 3. And so we need to make sure that we have options on where people live and how do they move around in our cities. And so looking at all those items, how do we ensure that we have the proper zoning? How do we fix the zoning that we currently have? How do we look at transit corridors, as mentioned? How do we look at our housing stock and look at a future setting that we need to do with these planning documents and be an action plan for the future? So.
Thank you, and thank you all for your answers. We're going to now go to closing remarks. We're going to go in reverse order for closing remarks. So we'll start with Mr. Meyer. We'll finish with Mr. Williams. So, Mr. Meyer, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I just want to stress again, I guess, my qualifications for being on City Council. I've had the great opportunity to work with the City Council and work in the City of Mesa for 26 years. I know how the government runs. I've built some great relationships within the city, and I'm really looking forward to finding ways to reduce costs and not have to have the increases that we've been having so far in our utility rates and so forth. Again, I think we've done a good job of managing that. I think we can do a little better. I think we can do a little better in almost everything we do. So, but again, I think that my knowledge and my experience within the city government is a great asset, and I'm looking forward to having the opportunity to serve the citizens of Mesa and bring that knowledge to the City Council and work with the City Council to make some great changes in the city of Mesa. I think that's it. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Mr. Adams, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. We talk about the Mesa Way, and I think of many things when I think about the Mesa Way, and one of them is I think it's a testament to the character of our community that we can have a forum like this, and everyone is respectful of the other. These are the kind of folks that I like to work with, and I think we need more of that in our community. I think we need more of that in our country today. The ability to sit down and reason together through issues that we don't agree on. What I bring to the table, and I won't go through the long litany of list again, because it embarrasses me to do so, but I think what I bring is experience. I bring business experience at a C level. I bring experience with the city through economic development, through planning and zoning, and general volunteerism. And I've reached a point in my life where I have the privilege and the opportunity to be of service. And being of service to others, to my community, is very fulfilling to me. And I think that I could think of no greater honor than to be entrusted with that. And regardless of how this election goes, I'm going to continue to be of service because it's very gratifying. I think for all the gifts that this community has given me and my family since I was 5 years old, I owe the city of Mesa that service. So it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to have this opportunity to speak to voters, the folks who are watching on Mesa Cable. And I would consider it an opportunity if I had the support of those voters. And if not, I'm sure that the support will go to whoever is successful in the general election. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Spilsbury, 2 minutes.
Thank you so much, Mike and Linda and Sally in the chamber for doing this in the first place. When I first got on council 3.5 years ago, one of the first things I did was start a kindness campaign, and I challenged all of our city departments in our community to use hashtag Mesa Kindness when they participated in an act of kindness or witnessed an act of kindness. And it has been so fun to watch that just ripple through our community, and it really does strengthen our city and changes lives, and I'm a big believer in it. And I think that our city, I love Mesa. If you haven't figured that out, I think we all do. And I love people. And I think our city deserves leaders who prioritize civility, respect, inclusivity, honesty, transparency, collaboration. Those are the kind of leaders that we want in our city. I think everyone deserves a voice in our city, and so my door is always open. I will talk to anyone that reaches out to me, especially people who disagree with me. And I have learned from those conversations. I so appreciate people who are willing to come in and talk to me and tell me why they disagree with me. And I've learned from their ideas and their opinions, and I think that's so important. Some of the things I'm excited about is that we are looking at filling with our new budget next year to have 2 new spots to work just on infill development in our city. And that is exciting to me because my district has a lot of areas with a lot of potential. I'm super excited about our Together in Service initiative, where we're bringing faith-based organizations and nonprofits together to really work on the coordination of the services for those most vulnerable in our community. And lastly, I'm super excited about being endorsed by all 3 of our police and fire organizations, Fraternal Order of Police, Mesa Police Association, and our Firefighter Association. I am thrilled that they wanted to endorse me and that we can continue to work together on some really tough challenges that our city faces: homelessness, our opioid fentanyl crisis, teen violence, our mental health. And so there's a lot of work to still do, and I want to keep working on it. And so I hope I can get your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Heredia, 2 minutes.
Thank you. It's truly been an honor and a blessing again to represent West Mesa and Mesa in general as a council member over the last 6.5 years. For me, it's, I didn't grow up in Mesa, but I grew up in Southern Arizona, coming up here to study at Arizona State University. I lived in the East Valley since I came to study. But Mesa's really embraced myself and my family. I got 3 young kids, and really took us in and really made a strong community that we wanted even better for us. And so I really greatly, take the chance to represent the residents of West Mesa on the council, and really look forward to continuing this work on the council moving forward, because we have a lot of work to do. We've done great things, but we have great opportunities ahead. Mesa has been a leader in many of the things that we've been able to work on. As I mentioned, our fiber optic initiative, our Mesa Promise program, being the first city in the state of Arizona to lead with that program at Mesa Community College, and many other initiatives around economic development in public safety, getting the first electric truck for our firefighters, right? Things like that I think make Mesa the best run community and the best community that a resident can live, work, and play here. And we want to keep that moving and really set ourselves up for the future for our families. So greatly appreciate the opportunity to be here and look forward to getting your support.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hiches, 2 minutes.
Thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to be here. I'm just a guy whose wife pushed him to do this. So I appreciate the time that you guys have given me. My wife and I are looking to raise our son here. So regardless of what happens this election, you'll see me out on the streets, just living. And I just want to leave you guys with a quote from an activist. His name is Gordon Tutsutsi. He said, "Leadership is about submission to duty and not elevation to power." And I think everyone who is running here for the council and for mayor embody that saying. So regardless of who you choose, I'm sure you guys will be in good hands. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Williams, final word, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mike. You've heard my track record, and you can learn more at ronwilliams4mesa.com. And it's Ron Williams, the number 4, mesa.com for you online that I had an opportunity to meet. You've heard my track record. You've heard my economic impact, running business development agencies for the state of Arizona, $100 billion in business contracts for Arizona businesses. I think at the end of the day, what I look at, the reason why I'm running for Mesa City Council, if you haven't lived under a rock, you know that things aren't going so well in some other municipalities. We want to keep Mesa strong. We want to keep, my race is going to be about addition and multiplication, not division and subtraction. So we're going to continue on that path. And at the end of the day, my goal is to ensure the safety and prosperity of Mesa residents. That's why I'm running for Mesa City Council. And I hope to get your vote. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, sir, and thank you all. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank our candidates for being a part of the forum tonight. We now are going to make a quick switch to our mayoral candidates, so if you'll please take your items, including your name placards, and then mayoral candidates, will you please take your positions, and we will go right into the forum for the mayoral candidates. Put your name placard. All right, we have made our seat changes. We are going to go into our forum for the mayoral candidates. If you could please take your seats. Same format as we had for the council candidates. We're going to start with opening statements. We are going to start with candidate number 1. Mr. Smith, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mike. And I want you to know what a privilege it is for me to be here. I've been here before, and this brings back some great memories. From 2008 to 2014, I had the honor to serve as your mayor, the mayor of Mesa. And not long after I took office, we were hit with the greatest financial crisis the city has ever seen, the Great Recession. We accepted that challenge. We reduced the size of government, We balanced the budget. We got creative in our departments. We had to be creative. And we faced these challenges without wanting to just survive, we wanted to thrive. And in that creativity that was noticed, the Arizona Republic named us the most innovative city in Arizona. Mesa, never been seen before. We saved the Cubs and brought the Oakland A's in. We got Apple computers to invest $1 billion. So we didn't thrive, we survived. We followed the Great Recession with the greatest prosperity, lifetime of prosperity the city has heard. We not only did that, but we brought national notoriety to Mesa, hosted the 2012 pivotal Republican debate. But I'm not here on a nostalgia tour. I'm not running because I want to look backwards. I'm running because I'm passionate about this city and I want to look forward. I care about my 11 grandkids and the city they'll grow up in. And even though the city has had great success, that's not assured. And without quality, experienced leadership, we cannot continue the upward growth and the expansion and of excellence that we have that we should have here in Mesa. That's why I'm running. I want to finish the business that we started, but I also want to take Mesa to the next level. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Freeman, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mike. You know, I want to thank all of you who have come this evening to see this forum. I appreciate that. You know, I want you to know that you have to make good choices out there when you have candidates for mayor or any positions. And this is a very humbling experience for me because I never anticipated doing this. But then as I look at my history and lineage here in Mesa, our family's been here for 146 years here in Mesa. So I am truly dedicated to Mesa and our family well-being. I've seen our city grow, well, from a town to a city of over 500,000 people. And with that, I've been dedicated for our community and keeping Mesa at the forefront of our innovations and how we can thrive and the positive impacts. Mesa is a great city, and I want to stay on top of that. As your next mayor, I'm going to focus on public safety, police, fire, and emergency medical services. As I served as a firefighter for the city of Mesa for 31 years, that was one of my priorities, making sure that our citizens of Mesa had good quality services. Infrastructure and core services like our water supply, sewage, and solid waste, land use and zoning and management development to maintain our quality of life. Our community engagement is so important. The voices and concerns of Mesa, that's what I've done as a council member, is listen to our community in District 1 and make changes that are positive and supports the character of our neighborhoods. I've also worked hard on financial transparency and keeping that working so that we can have core services very important to our city. I'm committed to working and to address areas that we need to ensure our government is accountable, transparent, and responsive to the needs of our community. And what I recognize is collaboration, working well with our other council members, and I've done that for the past 7 years. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Mr. Neely, 2 minutes.
Hello, folks. I love Mesa. This is the city that I raised my children in. I've been here half my life. My sons graduated from Mesa High about 1.5 years ago, and they're now tradesmen working within one of my 3 companies. As mayor, I'm not seeking special endorsements from organizations or politicians. Tough decisions must be made without special interests seeking favors. The endorsements that matter to me are from the thousands of Mesa citizens who signed my petition, including Scott Smith's mother and father-in-law, urging me to take on this role. Their trust and support drive my commitment to serving the community's best interests and making decisions that benefit all residents of Mesa. So I want to say this, without Mesa, I wouldn't be the man I am today. The first home I ever bought, I bought it in Mesa. And I lived through that Great Recession. I worked on the Apple data center that was supposed to be a manufacturing center. It's supposed to be a manufacturing hub here in Mesa. Had I been mayor back then, had I been on council, I would have fought to keep it a manufacturing center. I wouldn't have allowed it to become a data center. I wouldn't have allowed the jobs to leave and go to China. But unfortunately, that's what happened. As a Mesa business owner, I'm going to prioritize small and medium-sized businesses in Mesa. And I'm going to work to lower the sales tax rate. In the East Valley, we have the highest sales tax rate, far higher than Gilbert and Chandler at 7.8%. We're at 8.3% sales tax. The Mesa voters aren't so much concerned with property tax, they're concerned with the high sales tax rates. Another thing that I think we need to work on. We need entertainment districts in Mesa. We have nowhere to dine. We have nowhere to go and enjoy ourselves. Most of us leave and go out of town to Scottsdale, to Chandler, to Gilbert for all of our dining and all of our entertainment. And I want to change that. I want to make Mesa a better place to live.
Time, sir. Thank you, Mr. Neely. Mr. Winkle, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. Hey, everybody, how you doing? Thank you for coming out tonight. I am very excited that you are here in the People's Chamber, not the Council's Chamber, the People's Chamber, because it is your house. I hope to see more of you online come to more of these meetings here, and I hope to see that these meetings get better promoted for all future debates and forums. I sit up here today as a person that hasn't been hugely politically active, except for being person to person, door to door, small business to small business for as long as I can remember, I don't know, 2010. That's been my career. I formed my career directly affecting small businesses and neighborhoods in and around the light rail expansion, in the District of Latino, helping to brand and make the Asian district what it is today, and also across the downtown area and the businesses there. When you look at the sales tax that people are talking about, and you know the great airports and all these areas that we have, if you look at sales tax, the largest sales tax comes from West Mesa. It comes from the Asian district. It comes from Broadway, Fiesta District, downtown Mesa. There's another large portion of it on Power Road and the freeway, and an even bigger part out there further east. And all these things have in common, it's small businesses. And these aren't the 500 employee small business. These are mom and pops, 2 to 7 businesses, just like my wife Erica's over there, just like Evelyn's over there, who has a small business here. It's like Tram's over there that has a small business. These are people that live and work in Mesa, and they add to Mesa with dollars that stay in Mesa. So the reason why I'm running is ever since I started working with small business and neighborhoods and improved them directly and seeing the outcomes over time, I feel that the entirety of Mesa needs that kind of attention, and all those small businesses need that kind of activity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Winkle. Mr. Davis, 2 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Kerry Davis, and I'm running for mayor for the city of Mesa. I'd like to thank the Chamber, SRP, and Mike for putting and hosting this event tonight. My wife and I have lived in Mesa now for about 5 years. We have 4 children, 14 grandchildren, and as of last week, 4 great-grandchildren. So I'm a retired CPA, and I've been studying the city's financial statements. And from 2009 through 2023, the city overspent general governmental revenues by nearly $1.2 billion. To cover that, they transferred over $1.5 billion from the utility funds, which has been talked about previously. But the city of Mesa, we pay about 30% more for our utilities than the cost of those utilities. And so I think that the city can do a better job in how it spends its money. I've compared our city, the city of Mesa, with 2 of our neighbors, our neighbors Gilbert and Chandler. Gilbert and Chandler, they're approximately 540,000 in population. City of Mesa is about 520,000 in population. Geographically, we're about the same size, about 140 square miles. However, when I took a look at the 2022 financial statements and combined the cities of Gilbert and the cities of Chandler, combined their financial statements and compared them to ours, those 2 cities combined spent $640 million. We spent $896 million, almost $250 million more than 2 cities combined that are a little bit larger than ours. I believe that we can do a better job. I'm running to help the city live within its means. I'm also running to help strengthen the police department. Our police department is probably down by 100 police officers. We don't have enough police officers to adequately man our community. And those are a couple of the things that I'm running on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We will now go in the same format we did with the questions. Questions are different for you except for the first question. We'll start with Mr. Smith. The question is, what skill set or vision do you feel sets you apart from the other candidates? You have 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Mike. There's one simple difference between me and the other candidates. I've been here, and I have a record of success. I have, you know what you're getting with Scott Smith. You know the vision. And I don't know many times what vision means, except for, to me, a vision is leading a community or leading a group to where they never thought they could go. We talked about some of the things that we encountered with the Great Recession. There were other cities that didn't handle it as well as we did. They didn't believe in that, but they certainly didn't set us up for the great success we've had. To do things that we accomplished, such as the Elliott Road Tech Corridor, the Gateway Plan, the Central Mesa Plan, things that set the stage for the future, which now the city has worked through. And these are part of the things I'm saying I want to do to finish business. I've seen Mesa in the future. I have incredible confidence that Mesa still has not seen its greatest days. The question is, can we lead this city? Can we talk to the people, and then can we encourage them to reach higher than they were? That also means you have to have fiscal restraint, discipline. We've talked a lot about what Mesa has done. Mesa has always been a very conservative city, fiscally. Our total cost or burden to our citizens is right in the middle. There are cities that spend more, there are cities that spend less. We're right in the middle, in spite of the fact that we have utility rates, that what they are, and no primary property tax. These are things that I bring to the table, this understanding. I also am former CPA, lawyer, MBA, all the things on a resume, but mostly I have served this city before, both as an elected official, as a worker at Valley Metro, and great things have happened. With Scott Smith, you know what you're getting, and that is a record of success and successful leadership.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Freeman, same question, 2 minutes.
Thank you. You know, what sets me apart is I'm an elected official right now, and I've been working on the vision of Mesa and what we're going to do in prosperity in our city in the future. One of the things that I have is experience working in our neighborhoods. I understand our neighborhoods and the character of them and trying to maintain them. I have work experience, not only on many, I'm not going to go through my list, but I have been the vice mayor in Mesa and I've enjoyed that opportunity. I've worked with many different organizations, and in my council position, my skill sets is listening to people, finding a pragmatic solution, and getting people working together collectively so that we can find a solution to our problems. You know, I think some of the things that we need to do in the future is technology and innovation in our city. We're putting that in play now as a council member and as a team, as our mayor and council. We have a vision of job creation and attainable housing. That's something that I've worked on with some of our developers, is how we can take some of our underperforming shopping centers and convert them into attainable housing, commercial and retail use. Yes, we have our utility fund transfer. That question may come up later. However, that's been going on for 77 years. We find it very effective in our city. We have 3 funding mechanisms: state shared revenues, the utility fund transfer, and sales tax. And we find that keeps us very fiscally fit. I'll use the word fiscally fit. So with that, I'm thankful for this opportunity to move Mesa forward, and I'm just excited about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Mr. Neely, 2 minutes.
So my name's Scott Neely, once again. I'm a non-politician businessman. You're gonna get somebody who isn't a politician if you elect me to be your next mayor. As mayor, I'm going to work with the city council to implement a no panhandling ordinance. That's the kind of ordinance I think we need. We need to work on not making Mesa attractive to the homeless, but make it a place they don't necessarily want to come to. In my opinion, opening a homeless hotel was a mistake. Our tax dollars could have been put better to use in an open building as a homeless center, something that you can better manage and secure, rather than a homeless hotel where everybody's got their own room and you have no idea what's going on in hundreds of rooms. Not to mention the taxpayer burden that we're going to have to take on after 2027 when the federal funds run out. So that's something I want to work on having an NGO takeover. That's something for an NGO. That's not something for a city to take on. I want to be dutiful with our tax dollars in the way that I'm dutiful with my company's business revenue. I'm a small business owner. I started with nothing. My wife, she started with nothing. She lived on 8th Avenue in McDonald, and not such a great neighborhood. Her father still lives there to this day, right next to the flour mill. Matters of fact, my wife, and this is probably gonna embarrass you, sorry honey, but when she was 15 years old, she cleaned these city council chambers with her aunt. She cleaned these city council chambers. She comes from very humble beginnings. So do I. We need people that come from humble beginnings that can actually get into government and actually help to govern for the people because we, the people, want change. We want something new. We want something we can trust. A word comes to mind: integrity. Integrity is to do something right and correct when nobody is watching you, right? And that's what I do as a businessman. As a businessman, I could, oh, sorry.
That's okay. Just got to keep on the clock. Thank you, Mr. Neely. Mr. Winkle, once again, the question is, what skill set or vision do you feel sets you apart from the other candidates? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. One of the things about me, and when you think about vision, I think of the future of Mesa and all the experience up here. We have a wealth of experience up here, but the thing that matters is actually the experience of the people that live here, and the experienced people in the neighborhoods, the experienced people riding the buses, the experienced people trying to buy homes. That's the experience that matters. I have a resume that's long and awesome, and I can talk about it, and I think, look at it online later, because you're gonna look at me anyways after all this. But as your future mayor, what I'm going to focus on, and the difference in my vision and my fellows up here, is that I have a very firm belief that residents not only have the right to participate and be part of their neighborhoods, but it's actually absolutely their responsibility to take that in charge and be in charge of their futures. So when you think about small businesses and neighborhood interaction, I'm thinking about people like Nadine over there. She actually organized about, 100, 150 small businesses to come together. That's creating economic development here now. It puts money in our economy and keeps money here. When I think of Nadia over here, who started Zen Nights, she did this. I get emotional about this because these are people who put into the city, right? They put into our city. So the difference between me and the folks up here is they're looking at this 1,000-mile sky view, and I'm looking here in the streets, at the doors in the neighborhoods. I've been in the neighborhoods in the South Side, in the West Mesa, in East Mesa, and I've helped people get loans to buy their homes. It's been part of my programming that I created. I've helped businesses get loans to buy their buildings. And that's the important piece of Mesa. That's what puts people here, that's what keeps people here, and that's what builds a pride and builds wealth in this community. So the difference between me and all these gentlemen up here is that I am fully forward in the streets, and I will come from the streets, looking forward to be your next mayor, public servant #1.
Thank you, Mr. Winkle. Mr. Davis, 2 minutes.
Well, a couple of things that set me apart. Number one is that I do have a proven track record of successful government and successful business. I also serve currently as the precinct committeeman for LD 15, state committeeman for LD 15, and the treasurer for LD 15. So I think that helps me to have a pulse of the community by being out in the community serving as a precinct worker. I also served as the mayor for the city of San Bernardino. The city of San Bernardino had some very difficult fiscal times. I was elected mayor in 2013. The city had filed for bankruptcy in 2012. I helped the city to successfully exit bankruptcy. So one of the things that it helps me to do is to look deep into our financial statements, which I've done. And I've discovered some of the needs that our city has. And part of it, I think, has to reduce the burden on our community. As I mentioned earlier, we pay about 30% more for our utilities. Our utility rates are 80% higher than the city of Chandler, 50% higher than the city of Gilbert. I believe it's an overburden on our community. And one of my visions is to help the city restore its fiscal conservative budgeting so that the city's residents aren't suffering from that overburdened tax, which is a hidden tax with the additional fees that we pay. So those are a couple of things that I think set me apart. The ability to look at a financial statement and see some of the pitfalls. One of those pitfalls has to do with serving our police and fire department. Our pension funds, our unfunded liability for the city of Mesa is in the red zone. It needs to be fixed. So those are some of the things that I bring to the table. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. For question number 2, we'll start with Mr. Freeman and work through. The second question is a 2-part question. How important do you believe the regional transportation is to the citizens living in the city of Mesa? And how should transportation initiatives be funded? You have 2 minutes, sir.
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. How important do you believe that regional transportation is to the citizens living in the city of Mesa? And how should transportation initiatives be funded?
So regional transportation that we have in Mesa works extremely well. We have our light rail and we have our Valley Metro bus system. I find that just last week I traveled on our light rail, and I find there is very few passenger traffic on there. With that, it's in the same with our bus system. So I was able to visit with some of the people on the light rail, and they're using the light rail specifically for their personal transportation, which is great. That's what's intended to do. However, we do have a homeless issue that is utilizing our light rail. So what I'm finding is that the transportation is necessary for our city, and how it should be funded is through taxation that we have throughout our community. And we also, our city pays for our operation and maintenance for our light rail system, and the regional tax that we pay goes to regional transportation. Not to be redundant, I feel that essentially we have enough and sufficient transportation, whether it's Valley Metro or the bus system, to compensate for our ridership. Our ridership has not increased. You know, I would support more transportation, public transportation, but we find that there's not enough ridership on the transportation systems that we do have. It's underutilized. And so one of the performing things that I choose to do is, how can we make that asset better for the city of Mesa? We're doing very well now. However, we need to still understand the scope of the projects and how it's going to affect our neighborhoods and how we're going to move people throughout our city. I'm finding that people in our city choose to drive. They don't choose to use public transportation. That's how we're built. So it's really a conundrum that we have in how to understand how we're going to move people in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Neely, 2 minutes.
Transportation. So we've got light rail for transportation here in Mesa. Brings a lot of homeless here. It doesn't pay for itself. The ridership doesn't pay for itself, and the ridership has gone down. When homeless ride it, it helps Mesa to attract federal dollars based on the ridership, and it's a lot of homeless people that are on it. Mesa's actually looking to do a trolley that would go from, I believe, is it the Fiesta District up to the Cubby Stadium?
It's your choice.
I believe so. I believe that's what they're doing. So they've already approved a trolley. So now they want to have a trolley go from south to north of Mesa. We already have the light rail coming in. We have buses all over the place. I think we can do better. I think we can do something that can pay for itself. I think we could do a commuter rail. A commuter rail could be used by utilizing the BNSF railways that are all over the valley. A commuter rail is just buying some train cars, throwing them on a track that's already existing, and utilizing the train tracks that we already have. I say we invest in a commuter rail. That way we can get larger amounts of passengers on it and get them all the way from Queen Creek all the way to Phoenix. If they're working downtown, it's perfect. Commuter rail. That's the future. Light rail's the past. Now let's talk about something else. If I was working with developers in Mesa, and I know fiber optics the future, we all know that, I would, when the developers put in the roads and the streets and the sidewalks, I would have the developer put in the fiber optic along with the roads and the streets and the sidewalks, rather than going back to Eastmark, a brand new community, saw cutting the asphalt and installing fiber optic after the fact. I mean, common sense says, let's save some money, let's use our brain, let's work with the developers, and let's make something happen that would cost us less dollars and burden the taxpayers far less. Let's do that. Let's have common sense. Let's have fiscal responsibility. Vote Neely for Mesa Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Winkle, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. As a person who takes public transit very seriously, I mean, just today, my friend Kevin used Dial-A-Ride to get to my house. So people are using these options such as the light rail, the bus system, and the scooters that get you that last mile and then walking to get places. Right now in Mesa, it's such a large city. I think it's very difficult to say there's one solution that fits everything. When we look at each place, so we have the Eastmark area, the ASU Innovation District and Polytechnic, we have Falcon Field, Las Sendas, Red Mountain, Riverview, Asian District, downtown. We have all these places, right? And each of these places is a place that has its own character. So if we're thinking about what type of transit needs to be in certain places, we have to think about what does that area want for its character. Part of the question earlier about the general plan and how it's actually going to be place-based and character-driven, I think that's fantastic because of items like this, transit. And so, I mean, I drive every day. Mesa is a driving city. That's how it's set up. It's been on a grid for a long time. We have wide streets and a lot of them on a grid. And I think I've also lived in Brazil. I've lived in Thailand. I've lived in Mexico. All of them have fantastic bus rapid transit systems that actually come every 1 minute, every 5 minutes. So when we're worried about ridership, it's because we don't have a system that's attractive and easy to use. And that's the reason why it's hard for you to use right now. If we increase that, I think that's up to the people. We have to put that up to the people in their character areas and their neighborhoods, and it's their choice. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Davis, 2 minutes.
Thank you. Every year in January, there's a homeless point in time count that's taken. In 2019, the city's point in time count for homeless, for unsheltered, was about 200. After the completion in 2019 through 2023 of the extension of the light rail to Gilbert and Maine, that homeless, unsheltered population increased by almost 70%. So the homeless have used that to come to our city, and we end up serving other cities' homeless, as opposed to just our own homeless. We have a good program, I think, in the city of San Bernardino, or excuse me, the city of Mesa with the Off the Streets program. It works. But the city also needs to make sure that other cities are doing their fair share of meeting the homeless needs. The city of Mesa in 2023-24 for this fiscal year, it's scheduled to transfer from the general fund to the transit fund $20 million. Next year is projected, based on the report that was put forward on March 28th by the city council, or to the city council, the city now projects that it's going to transfer $25 million next year. The city is considering this streetcar connection with Tempe. The city can't afford it. We can't afford to continue to fund a system that doesn't pay for itself and continue to put the burden on the general fund. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Smith?
The question?
Sure. The question is, how important do you believe that the regional transportation is to the citizens living within the city of Mesa, and how should transportation initiatives be funded?
Great, thank you. Transportation is really made up of three primary concepts: freeways, streets, local streets, and transit, public transportation. For the most part, this is funded, and none of these things, by the way, pay for themselves. They're all funded by tax. The growth in Mesa, and you can ask yourself how much you have benefited from. Do you benefit from the 202 being finished, the 101 being expanded, 60 being expanded? Most of that was paid for with the regional tax. We know that is Prop 400. Citizens voted to approve that in 2004. That also led for the funding of the construction of light rail, including the extensions into Mesa. That's one source of transportation funding. City of Mesa, we actually, part of your sales tax is dedicated to streets, which has been very good for us, especially during the Great Recession. We were able to improve our streets and keep working on our streets because we had this dedicated source. The third part is your gas tax, which comes to us through the state through what's called the Highway User Fund, HERF. I know acronyms. All these things add up to fund a consolidated multimodal transportation program, each of which is essential. Are there things we can do better? Yes. I think most people, if you look at it in the city of Mesa, don't realize that there is no public transportation east of Power Road. We don't satisfy our public transportation needs. If you take that away, there's a huge segment of our society who can't go. We have good freeways. I believe in Mesa we have very good streets. I think we've done a good job of maintaining that, and your taxes and the regional tax has been an essential part of that. Compared to other major metro areas, we charge about half and collect about half in our sales tax for transportation as other areas do. I think our region and our city has done wonders with the revenue they have received to fund all the different types of transportation modes. And I would look to be more efficient, but also expand on that.
Thank you, sir. Going on to question 3, we'll start with candidate 3, Mr. Neely. You've touched on this, but all of you can be more specific. How would you address homelessness in the city of Mesa? You have 2 minutes, sir.
Head on with an ordinance that the panhandling is illegal, camping is illegal, it's off the table in Mesa. After 2027, we're gonna find either an NGO to take over the homeless hotel, or, you know, we're gonna close it down because the taxpayers should not be burdened. We're gonna close it down, we're gonna sell the hotel, the motel hotel, because the taxpayers should not be burdened with that. We're not going to sit here and attract the homelessness from around the valley here in Mesa. Enough is enough. I have a store on Southern and Horn. There's plenty of homeless around it. I had a homeless lady come into my store about 4 years ago with a piece of broken glass and threatened my wife and daughter. Now my wife and daughter are arming themselves in the store. So Mesa's become far less safe because we are attracting the wrong element to Mesa. So we're gonna fight against that. We're gonna push back against that big time. I am running to restore services, rebuild the economy, and reclaim Mesa's identity. Mesa is the largest suburb in America. It wasn't meant to be this big, giant, bustling city like Phoenix. I don't want it to be like Phoenix. In my neighborhood, in particular, they wanted to put an apartment complex, a double-story apartment complex, over the backyards of our homes. And we fought it and fought it and fought it, and Mesa assured us these would be condos that would be sold. So that's, you know, that's what they passed, that's what they zoned, that's what they pushed into law, that's what they built. Well, after building it, they changed it. They changed it where they could be rentals now. So it's all owned by just about one person and it's all rented out. So that's not what we signed up for. And unfortunately, that's what Mesa left us with. I want Mesa to be the beacon of honesty and integrity. And I want them to keep their word. If they zone something a certain way, we need to keep it the way it was originally intended to be zoned. There's a lot that needs to be done in Mesa, and honesty and integrity is where we need to start. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Neely. Mr. Winkle, how would you address homelessness in Mesa?
Thank you very much. I've worked with homeless communities. I would prefer to call them our homeless brothers and sisters because they are people, and ordinancing them or making laws against them is not going to make them go away. It's just going to make them go somewhere else. And a lot of times these people are not just someone sleeping in the park or a drug user. Outside of my house on my street on Westwood in Dobbs Ranch area over there, there's a few different cars that are always parked there, and it's generally, you know, a mom sleeping there because she doesn't have a home. And there's lots of moms sitting on someone's couch, forced to be there because they don't have a home. Homeless is not just a quote-unquote bum on the street. It's any one of us at any minute now because of the cost of housing being so high right now. So the way I would actually look at this is that we're paying for it either way. We're paying for it in the hospitals, we're paying for it in your police and fire, and your paramedics. You're paying for it in the hotel in Councilmember Spilsbury's district. We're paying for it anyway, so why don't we do it in a housing first way? If you look at models like Salt Lake, they've done housing first with wraparound services, and they've had good results on how to get people out of homelessness into actually back into society. I've worked directly with a number of homeless people here in Mesa. I talk to them on a very usual basis, and some of them just need help. We've gotten 2 of them, and this is a very difficult thing, 2 into housing, off of drugs, and back into working. 2 out of the hundreds of people that we've talked to. This is how difficult this is. This is not an overnight thing that we can deal with. So when we say, what are you gonna do about it? It's not just, in 4 years, we're gonna have this done and that done. This is really a structural change that has to happen where we help people earn wealth and prevent prior to becoming homeless. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Davis, 2 minutes.
Thank you. I believe the city of Mesa does a good job with dealing with the homeless. The Off the Streets program, I believe, has been successful. However, if you go back to that point in time count for 2023, the 11 cities that make up the East Valley, there are about 1.6 million people that live in that area. The city of Mesa and the city of Tempe, we make up about 43% of that population. Yet, we serve over 70% of the homeless population. I believe we need to work with our other community leaders and help them to develop some systems to be able to also serve the community, the homeless community. Back in 2021, the City Council for the City of Tempe approved $450,000 in nonprofit grants to expand emergency shelter beds for those experiencing homelessness. Those grants would support 30 shelter beds for adults, 32 beds at the East Valley Men's Center operated by a New Leaf. Individuals will be transported directly to Mesa Shelter, where they will receive shelter case management. So our neighboring cities are sending their homeless to us. We need to work with them to encourage them to be more aggressive about helping the homeless population in their communities. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Smith, 2 minutes.
I wish that the solution for homelessness was as easy as the rhetoric on homelessness. Homelessness is unfortunately a very complicated issue. You have different causes. You have homeless for financial reasons. You have a great deal of homeless because of mental health. You have a great deal of homeless because of drug issues. And then homelessness, we don't like to talk about it, of people who just, that's their lifestyle. There are no simple solutions. We also have in the Ninth Circuit, which we live in, some very difficult court cases that limit what the cities can do. We can't outlaw camping, for example, because the Ninth Circuit has said you can't do that unless you have a shelter bed for them to be at. I have seen firsthand what light rail does. Light rail didn't cause homelessness, but light rail during the pandemic became, in many ways, a moving shelter, and that's got to stop. We must work with our 2 other cities, Tempe and Phoenix, to enforce fair and to have security on that so that we make sure that those people who are using our public transport are using it to transport. The other thing is we do have to work with the NGOs, the non-government organizations, with also the state, which when we're dealing with mental health, and the region. Carrie is correct. For many years, Mesa has been the place people sent their people to. This is both a double-edged sword. One reason is that as a community, Mesa was far ahead of other communities in offering and having the capacity to do these kind of things, such as a New Leaf did. Our other communities have relied on that and have not developed their own capacities. I will work with those communities to see that we can do that. I think Mesa's doing a lot based on the constraints that it has. I think there's other things we can do to be more aggressive and to have that human, yet make homeless accountable also. There is a balance there that we have to explore, and that includes working with regional partners to share the burden and the opportunities to solve this problem.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Freeman, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mike. So I know there's an increase in homelessness in our city, Mesa. What I really want to deal with is human kindness. The purpose of our social services is to provide kindness and service to those in our community, regardless if you're homeless or not. That's what we stand to do in the city of Mesa. I've been able to participate in the point in time count for the last 7 years, and I've gone out with staff and talked to the actual homeless people and seen what and why they're in homeless. And a lot of them just need specific help. And what I found is in our community, we have flexible housing today called Windermere. Windermere provides housing for people who are experiencing homeless today. So we do have active social services for them. However, we have the people out there that are service resistant, we'll use that word. They don't want any help in any type of housing whatsoever. And those are mainly the people that we see out in our community. I did not support the Grand Hotel specifically because I did not want permanent housing in our city of Mesa. I believe in a flexible housing plan for our homelessness. And if we have to move a shelter from one area to another area, well, so be it. That's what we do. In the next 5 years, we're going to experience a $150 million deficit in the rental tax decrease, as well as the flat tax for our income tax. And so that's going to hit our budget hard. So in 26 and 27 budget year, we're going to have to decide how much we're going to fund for the Grand Hotel, who's getting the TI work being done for it now. However, it was a win at the Grand Hotel, and I want to say that. It's a housing for women and families experiencing homelessness, our veterans, women. The East Valley Men's Shelter will only house men, so we will not have men in the Grand Hotel, but it's going to be our police department's there for 24 hours a day. And The security there at that hotel will be phenomenal, but it'll be a place where those experiencing homelessness can go.
Thank you. Thank you all. For the fourth question, we will start with Mr. Winkle. Understanding that most real estate professionals indicate that Mesa has insufficient residential housing inventory available for the people that want to live here. But with that being said, how will you ensure that sufficient areas are reserved for business, commercial, and industrial use? You have 2 minutes.
If you drive around Mesa right now, on just about every single corner, there's some pretty shabby commercial strip malls, right? So it looks like we have plenty of space for our commercial businesses to be. I think the part about that, to answer that question, is that do the businesses want to be there? When we look at businesses today and small businesses being very mobile and more nimble, a lot of them don't need a brick and mortar anymore. Would I like them to purchase space and have a space? Yes, because it keeps them there. I mean, we have our friends over here from Bookmaze, and they have a space, and that's a high overhead for a small business. And when I think about the realtors thinking about, what do we need? More commercial? No, we need good commercial and well-managed commercial. We need good housing and well-managed housing. We have tons of these spaces that I think are just not managed well, and a lot of the landowners live elsewhere, so they just don't manage it well. So when you think about housing that is affordable or affordable housing, they're two different things completely. We need to think about the management of those and the placement of those things. How do I guarantee that? Private property is private property. You don't infringe on private property. So it's an American right, and it's an American way of building wealth, and I think everyone deserves to take part in that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Davis, 2 minutes.
Thank you. It seems to me that part of this question also is relevant to the housing issue related to rentals versus single family. If you take a look at the 2050 plan, it seems to me, concentrates with building too much additional multifamily homes. When you see the balance in a city where renters are over 35 to 36 or higher percent, you have a higher level of crime, and the city of Mesa is just about at that tipping point. We're at about 37% of our housing that is occupied by renters. As I've looked at other cities that are over 35%, their crime rate is higher and poverty is higher, which actually then reduces affordability because you're bringing more people into the community, but you're not building enough single-family homes. So I think we need more single-family building, and I think that 2050 plan, unfortunately, has a concentration of mixed use and high-density residential. I think that also the city is not, the role of government is not to drive economic development. It's to provide an ability for economic development to thrive and to provide a safe area, a safe community. And so part of, I think, helping that is to clean up the blight. And that will help, I think, to draw and attract more commercial business. I think that the city of Mesa is a great city. We have a lot of great opportunity, I think, to continue to build a community that is family-focused. But unfortunately, it seems to me that the city has taken on an approach where it's been developing high-density apartments that don't allow for enough parking. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. Mesa is sort of at a crossroads where this is concerned. There's no doubt that if we're underserved with our housing units, that the easiest solution is to expand the housing units. That doesn't always work that way. Government does not dictate the market. The market dictates the market. And even if we expand our current housing stock right now, the market places a premium on that. And I don't think government should be in the business of building houses or dictating. However, if you look around the city of Mesa, there's a lot of underutilized property. There's a lot of vacant property. There's a lot of old commercial. And yes, there are older sections of our city that I think we could get creative in creating housing opportunities. I would do this by offering the incentives, and not money incentives, but if we want to move and inspire investment, we allow certain things to happen if you'll do this. If you don't do this, you don't get that zoning change. You don't get that change in property. Because what happens is if you change the use of a property, you then have 5 people coming in and bidding on the land, and you don't get affordable housing. And then government steps in and says, well, we want to build it. Well, believe me, you don't ever want government to build anything because it will never be affordable, nor will it be quality. It just doesn't work that way. There are things we can do as far as using our existing housing stock, and this is where the general plan is both a good and a bad thing because those are legal rights people have. We need to look for opportunities of underutilized land, of older properties, whether they be blighted or not, to expand a housing stock, encourage home ownership, and the city, through its zoning, does have the power to do that if we will find and be creative in those incentives. As a former home builder and developer myself, I know those work without ever taking 1 penny from a government. If they will allow you to get creative and innovative, we can help solve that problem. And that's one thing I would look at and emphasize during my term as mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Freeman, 2 minutes.
Can you repeat it?
Sure.
Even though I've heard it 5 times. 4 times.
Understanding that people say that there's not enough housing in Mesa, how would you ensure the sufficient areas are reserved for business, commercial, and industrial uses?
So what we have today is Mesa has some of the best infrastructure in the United States, especially in the Valley. And one of the things I prioritize is water before development. Water is an essential component for any of our commercial, industrial, residential, whatever use it is. If we don't have the water, we're not going to build anything. So one of the priorities is in Mesa is we need to have the infrastructure to provide economic engines for them, not only the water, but the electricity to fund and develop these areas. I think that we have zones already set up in our city for commercial and manufacturing zones. We were very strategic about that back when we did Eastmark and Cadence and Bellevue out there. However, I think we stubbed our toe on some of that, but other than that, we've had some learning lessons. My vision is still take some of the ordinances and resolutions that we can create as council and set aside these areas for commercial and development, industrial. And we can't have them intermixing with our residential component because if they affect the residential areas, it's not a successful build. And so with that, we need to be, again, strategic on how we build it. And so I would work with our council and our planning department and how best strategically through our general plan to help identify the areas, set apart those areas, and especially for me and my district as a council member, we're dealing with infill development that sometimes is not compatible with our neighborhoods. And so I push back and say, you know, you need to be your infill development that resonates with our neighborhoods and some of our historic areas in our city. And some of the developers don't do that. The government should not be involved in some of the processes because the median average home now is like $475,000 to $500,000. That's just for the beginning home, which I find outrageous, but that's the way it is. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Neely, 2 minutes.
Please repeat the question,
Sure.
Mike.
Understanding that most real estate professionals indicate Mesa has insufficient residential housing, how will you ensure that sufficient areas are reserved for business, commercial, and industrial uses?
I think we need to be more open-minded and we need to change zoning uses. I think we need to institute a casita ordinance so we can actually build casitas in our backyards, which also will add to making homes more affordable in Mesa. That's one thing we can do. Another thing we could do is maybe we could do an industrial/residential zoning, something new, something that's really never been done. You know, for a guy like myself, I would have loved to have a residential industrial zoning use. You know, when I started my business, I started it from my home at 2439 East Catalina Avenue in Mesa. At that time, I ended up getting several code compliance violations for trying to be a small business owner and start a business from my small little home. Very, very tough balance to make the city happy and at the same time try to build a business when you're starting from ground zero with nothing. We need to make changes, sustainable changes that can help everyone. And I think a casita ordinance to make it legal to build casitas in backyards in Mesa is one way we can start. And I think another is, again, a industrial slash residential zoning use. Maybe this could be a whole new area that we can develop and turn into something like that, so that small business owners can actually work from home in the way that some people can work from home in a white collar, say, job. You know, some of us blue collars, you know, want to be able to run a business from our house. Now we're talking about skilled trades. I want to bring back the skilled trades. Mesa Public Schools is largely lacking in automotive, wood shop, and metal shop. EVIT's taken over some of that, but we need to either expand EVIT and make it far larger and add far more different skilled trades to the skill sets, or we need to bring it back to the high schools. I want to look to invest in our youth, all of our youth across the board, not just the youth that has tech savvy skills. Thank you very much. Vote for Scott Neely for Mesa Mayor.
Thank you, sir. We now go to our closing remarks. We'll go in reverse order from the opening remarks. We'll start with Mr. Davis. You have 2 minutes for a closing remark.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank Mike for moderating, the Chamber for hosting this, and SRP for also being part of the planning for this event. I also thank all the candidates this evening for being here and taking their time to share their views and to help the community understand the different candidates and what you have to choose from. I served as the mayor for the city of San Bernardino. In 2012, the city, as I said, went into bankruptcy. And I was elected in 2013 during a very difficult time to help the city exit bankruptcy, which we successfully did. And part of that experience gave me the ability to be able to look at situations and come up with the best answers that are in the interest of the community as a whole. Our city in Mesa has a lot of great opportunity. I think that our community is poised for being able to make some changes that will help the city continue to prosper. I currently serve, as I said, as the treasurer for Legislative District 15. As mayor of San Bernardino, I served as the president of the San Bernardino International Airport Authority. I served as the vice president for the Inland Valley Development Agency. I served on the Metrolink board. I served on the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority. So I have the experience of being involved in government and also in those regional government agencies that make decisions. One of those happens to be MAG for our region. And so as mayor, that's one of the responsibilities that helps the city of Mesa by being a part of that. And so I look forward to being able to serve as your mayor and be honored to serve as the next mayor for the city of Mesa. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Winkle, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. As this campaign goes on and everyone gets more excited in all the politics that happen alongside these local races, I think this is probably the tamest piece of all politics that you're going to get this year. I look forward to becoming closer and closer to being your next mayor of the city of Mesa. As that person, I think you can count on me to understand that people's experience is the thing that matters, not the experience of the person that sits up here. And the person that does sit up here, public servant number one, should be listening to the people, making sure the people are getting what they want, making sure the people are at this table right here. So you can expect me to be at your doors, and I can expect you to be at the table making decisions with me and everything that happens in the city. The big focuses that I will have is on small business, small business, small business. We can talk about, all the large corporations that come and provide jobs, but the things that make the most jobs and make the most money for people and put money in their pockets into our community and revolving around our community are small businesses and locally originated small businesses. Secondly, I want to focus on families and housing. And third, I want to focus on being prepared for the next problem that comes down the line. The pandemic years were not friendly to a lot of people, and I think the city, as a service, it should act like a service, should be ready for that. Ryan Winkle, for your next mayor, winkleformesa.com. And thank you very much, sir. I hope to be on your radio show next week.
That was slick. Thank you, Mr. Winkle. Mr. Neely, 2 minutes, sir.
Please, actually, what? I already know the question. I'm going to do my closing statement. Okay. Mike, I want to thank you for having me on your show 2 years ago. I really do. We had a great conversation. We hit a lot of great topics, and we're going to hit a lot of great topics again soon. I will be on your show again. I feel that in my heart. Mesa's looking for a new generation of leadership. I'm that leader. You can find me online at neelyformesamayor.com. That's Neely, the number 4, mesamayor.com, where you can see my agenda that I've laid out for our city, for our citizens, for myself. I think that Mesa is on the right track in a lot of ways, but what we need to focus on is including everyone. Republicans, Democrats, independents, libertarians. A big thing we need to focus on is getting the government out of our private lives. That's one thing that really resonates with me. I wanna make the government less involved in my life, in your life, in our life. I want the government to do the one thing it was designed to do, to provide services to the people. Nothing more, nothing less. And services to the people without wasting money, without being wasteful, with being dutiful with the taxpayers' dollars, with coming up with new, fresh ideas. Some of the ideas I've displayed tonight on this stage. We need to work together. I'm willing to work with Kerry Davis. He's a former mayor. I'm willing to work with Scott Smith. He's a former mayor. I'm willing to work with Mark Freeman. He's a current city councilman. And I'm willing to work with Ryan Winkle. This is a good gentleman right here. Very good man. But again, we need a new generation of leadership. We need new, fresh ideas. I think I've displayed a little bit of that tonight. And I think we just all work together, get along, we can make Mesa a better place for us to live, for all of us to live. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr.
Hey,
Freeman,
Mike,
2 minutes.
Here we go. So I want to thank Sally, Joan, Linda, and at SRP for making this possible, especially you, Mike, for moderating for this. One thing I've championed in my career so far as a council member is that when one solution that creates a problem is not a solution. And so I've always tried to find a solution pragmatically. As a firefighter, I responded again, I said over 64,000 calls of service in my career. I've handled every type of human and fire issues that are out there that affects our community and our people. Sometimes I feel like when we're up here, we're kind of being judged, right? I mean, the audience out there is judging us, and you have a smorgasbord of candidates here. And overall, I know Mesa is doing very well. I have always championed improving our public safety, our infrastructure, especially water. I'm very concerned about water resiliency in our community. And as a farmer, I do farm today. Water is an important component in agriculture, and I know water conservation is extremely important in our community, as well as economic development. I've always engaged in our council's strategic plan, and I know exactly what we need to do to move our city forward. But the best thing for me is I collaborate. I work with others to find the best solution for the community and our neighborhoods, and especially the people who live here, because Mesa is a very resilient city. I want it to continue that way. I remember when it was about 20,000 people, 520,000 today. It's grown quite a bit. We have an incredible opportunity to look forward to growth and development within our city. And I've been in the front lines with my council members and the mayor doing that. So I would say support Mark Freeman for Mesa Mayor in our election starting July 30th. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Smith, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mike, and thanks to all. And I don't want it to sound like an Oscar acceptance speech, so I'll go on with it. So thank you. Once again, I'm so privileged to be as part of this group and with these men up here who have decided to get in the game. And that's the strength of a strong community and a strong democracy. I have a resume that I'm proud of. As mayor, I was the chair of all the regional councils, MAG, the Regional Transportation Board, all those. I also was the only Arizona mayor to be elected president of the United States Conference of Mayors, something which brought national recognition to our city and allowed me to develop relationships in Washington, D.C. among the professionals that I've used to this day. I was CEO of the Regional Transportation Agency. I use those not to say, look at the past, but once again to look to the future. I'm passionate about Mesa's future, but concerned. We talk about vision, and I was trying to think about what I would describe my vision of Mesa to be. I want our city, our community to be recognized locally, regionally, and nationally as the very best place to be, to live, to be educated, to raise a family, to have a business. And that doesn't matter whether you are an individual, a family, a small business, or a large investor or corporation. Right now, I think there are things that we need to do to help secure Mesa's future. We need to focus on public safety. I'm proud to have earned the only candidate to earn the endorsement of both the Mesa professional firefighters and the Mesa police. We need to expand economic opportunity, which is to lessen the burden. It pains me that Mesa is no longer viewed in the investment community as being the place to do business. We want to change that. Continue to expand educational opportunities, and rather than quantity growth, we need to focus on quality growth. That's important for all of us. I am passionate about this, and I will use my past experiences to build a better future for Mesa and secure our future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, and thank all of you. Wealth of experience and knowledge. I'm sure Mesa is going to be in good hands, whoever wins this election. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank your mayoral candidates.